There's an incredible film, which I'm sure you've seen, called The Fog of War, where Robert McNamara talks about so many things you speak about from the Vietnam War. And he ends that movie talking about nuclear war. And I think he had, by chance, gotten an opportunity to bump into Castro, I think, many years later. And talking about
conference together.
Yeah, and talking about the standoff there. And I think he asked him, he said, would you have launched those missiles? And he said, yes, I would have. And he said, how could you even say that to me, that you would have started a thermonuclear war based on just coming to a head in that situation, knowing all the death it would have caused? And his final message to everyone was, you need to be very, very careful about these weapons we have, because people in certain circumstances are apt to deploy them without really understanding the ramifications. And it feels like we're coming very close to that now.
Whew. It's so funny you say that, because when I did the My Lai stuff, a big it was Harper's Magazine then did a 35-page excerpt from my book. I published a book on it that came in different stock and sold who knows X hundreds more thousands, and it was a big deal. And when that came out, McNamara's son, he had a son and daughter that were against the war. This is a very tortured man who did what I'm telling you, what Johnson did, lied about everything. McNamara was with him on that line. He wanted that war as much as anything. It's in 1964. He wanted to go and get the commies. I don't know what it's about, but his son called me and said, in tears pretty much, I'm in the phone book. It's 1969, and he said, when the article came, Dad works after dinner in his library, and I left it on his table in the library after dinner before he went in, and when he went to sleep, like an 18, 19-year-old kid, he was probably listening to the top 10 music, what kids do, smoking a joint. I don't know what they did those days. Anyway, he went down and it was in the fireplace, and he called me to say how upset he was about it. So years later, 30 years, 40 years later, I go to Vietnam finally, because I didn't want to go. I just didn't want to see that there was a ditch where everybody was killed that I wrote about. That just, I couldn't, you can't imagine as an American to see what our boys did. And there was much more going on there that I finally learned. But anyway, and so I went, and when I went back, I called the son. I told him I went back, and I went back there and I said, just wanted to talk about it. He didn't remember calling me, but he did dispute it. And then he said to me, I asked him if he was very alienated from his father. And I asked, he's a lovely kid, runs a walnut farm in California, very high end. And I asked him if he didn't dispute that happened. He knew how angry he was. And he said, when my father I made up with my father before he died. And he said, I was with him the moment he passed away. And this is the former head of Ford Motor Company, a very sure guy, a very big star of the Kennedy years. He said, my dad asked me, he said, you think God will accept me for what I've done? And I said, yes. And I told him that was the right thing to say. How could you not say that? But very moving. Will God accept me? Because he knew there's a lot of souls in his life. You know what I think about? I was in the Army, and I was a terrible soldier. I had to avoid the draft because I'd gone to long school and bounced out of there so fast it wasn't funny. I hated law. But I wasn't dumb. I knew I wasn't dumb, but I worked as a bar. You do those things. I didn't go to Harvard or Yale, and I wasn't editor of the Harvard Yale, or the Harvard Crimson or the Yale Daily News. My father died of cancer when I was 16, and he ran a ghetto business in the black part of Chicago, and I ran it while going to college. When I got to the Washington Bureau, I was the strangest thing they'd ever seen. I didn't belong to an eating club. I'm only exaggerating slightly. Anyway, and so I can leave all these stories out. You don't need to know them all. But
Yeah, I think McNamara, you can tell in that movie, he's tortured by a lot of the things that he had, the decisions he made.
Well, I'll tell you one thing he did. He always answered every call I gave him after that.
Really?
Right.
Wow.
And I don't know if that was a way of solace, but I always could talk to him, and the regret was there in a way. It's got to be on your soul when you have a war that awful.
And so are we approaching something very dangerous? I mean, it seems like the Biden administration has an agenda. They're going all in on Ukraine, even though, like you said, it doesn't make sense. It was notoriously not a regime that we liked or wanted to support or we thought was corrupt. And now it's putting us on this head-on collision to Russia. Meanwhile, the mainstream media has seemed to decided to just go with whatever the administration is saying and not even report the facts of what's happening in Ukraine.
Well, but even the way they handled the communiques, covering the Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, went to China after refusing to go because of balloons. We can deal with that some other time. But okay. The whole story of that is comical, really comical.
My name is Jim Rickards. I'm a former advisor to the CIA, Department of Defense, and the White House. In a moment, you'll have my own evidence that very few people have seen. You'll see how I believe two acts of democratic stupidity are about to combine into a storm that will change America forever, the American energy Armageddon. In fact, due to specific circumstances created by the Armageddon, it's possible you could now win big while others lose. You see, there's a universal truth. In times of crisis, money moves. During the coming energy Armageddon, most Americans will face new hardships, but not all. A few will win and win big. You're about to see how the energy Armageddon could create a one-time opportunity to secure new substantial wealth. If you want in, keep watching. Right now, today, America is running out of gas, diesel, and oil. Our national fuel reserves are down 50% or more from where they should be. It's so urgent, major suppliers are calling it a code red emergency. We don't have the refining capacity to catch up, and we're shipping most of what we have to Europe to bail them out of Calamity Joe's Nord Stream crisis. We're now facing catastrophic fuel shortages I predict will collapse our nation's energy grid. When it happens, every citizen will see firsthand the Dems' obsession with green energy is a scam. In fact, I'm going to show you my evidence that outs them as shameless hypocrites. That's not all. I predict this storm will bring about a new social order to our country. Many who are now rich will find their accounts drained, and those who are poor will turn to desperate measures to survive. I'm talking about civil unrest, a massive crime wave, and violence in our streets. Most will suffer under Biden's energy Armageddon, but not everyone. Some good Americans will win. They'll take advantage of wealth-building opportunities created by the upheaval, which I'll reveal here today, to vastly improve their personal economic situation. And that's the most important thing I want to share with you. Now, if the idea of winning while others suffer makes you uncomfortable, no problem. Then this presentation is not for you. But the way I see it, our great nation was built during times of crisis when a few smart people recognized opportunity and seized it. If you see the storm coming, if you know Calamity Joe and his ilk are steering us straight into it, and you want to not just survive, but thrive by using the crisis potentially to grow your personal wealth, then you're exactly who I want to reach today. Give me about 3 minutes of your time. I'm going to show you everything right now.
I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple-digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline. I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up. If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you gonna do? What's the choice that you're going to make?